Alumni students, and what I like to do is not to have you talk to them and they answer questions, but you to know a little bit about who is Jazz. Yeah, so if she could just tell us a little bit about this.
I went to Marin High School. For university, I went to UC Santa Cruz, where I studied legal studies, and I lived in DC for a stint and worked at the ACLU. Worked at an immigration law firm for a couple of years and got my corporate social responsibility certification from UC Berkeley, and now live in Shanghai, working environmental sustainability in the hospitality field.
I went to the Branson School for high school for 3 years, and then finished my undergraduate work at the Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm currently finishing my PhD at Harvard University in doing a joint program in African studies and in music, and my work is in social change through art, primarily in conflict regions in Eastern Africa. So I live between Congo, Uganda, and anywhere else my suitcase takes me.
After I graduated from here, I went to public high school in Los Angeles, and then I attended Mills College, got my BA in philosophy, and worked in photography through high school and college, and now I work in commercial printing, and I'm hoping to start my own publishing company.
So I went to UCSD and I studied mechanical engineering, and I got my bachelor's of science there, and I continued there for my master's, and that was also in mechanical engineering with an emphasis in feedback control. And this year I transferred to Lawrence Livermore National Lab in Livermore, and there I'm working on a project called the National Ignition Facility, and the purpose of that project is to use the world's largest laser to create fusion energy for a sustainable and renewable source of energy to supply the electrical grid.
I just graduated from Tamalpais High School in Mill Valley last year, and I go to UC Santa Cruz, and you know, the really unique things that I'm interested in, the more unusual things, I play the harpsichord, I still, you know, do a lot of juggling, you know, I definitely do a number of more, you know, mainstream things. I run all the time. I'm a legal studies major as well. But I definitely am really well-rounded, and I think that that's what Waldorf shaped me into being.
I took it very much in stride. Like, I think I went into it with the perspective that it was going to be fine, that I could handle anything. And nothing really surprised me.
And while it was a really hard transition, I was excited to do it, and I really felt like I had a very strong base. My math wasn't quite as strong as some of my other friends coming from other public schools, but I think where I exceeded in so many other departments, and English and my social skills and my music and my history and all these other things, that I definitely would not change it for anything.
You really are grounded here, and you kind of know what a small community is, and you know kind of how to create that, those type of relationships with teachers, you know, fellow students, faculty, parents, etc. when you go to the larger environment. So for me, it's actually it actually was really seamless, just because of what Waldorf had given me.
How to find my balance in all ways, both as an individual, as a human being, in terms of ideas, in terms of creativity, in terms of basic functionality in society, and moving into cultures that aren't my own. I feel like there were all of these different seeds that were planted. I was being educated on so many different levels of what it means to be human.
You know, I think some people worry about the academic because they think Waldorf isn't academically strong, and what I learned here was how to learn, like you said. So I always felt like I could learn anything that was put in front of me, and if it was just a list of facts, that was easy and boring.
When I do computer-aided design and drafting in the computer, you have to be able to create a three-dimensional object in on a flat screen in a computer. And having the background in actually making physical models out of beeswax and clay really, really aids in the process of creating this 3D thing in the computer. What I'm trying to say is that in a field dominated by left brain thinking, a little bit of right brain work goes a long way.
And knowing how to do all of the elements, how to fulfill all the requirements, how to take the standardized tests, and how to, go through the normal coursework, but then to also say, here's where I perceive a really big gap. Wouldn't it be fun to come up with some way to try and fill that gap, and to take all of these different skills and to take a creative approach to something academic, to take an academic approach to something creative, and sort of see what happens if I can, keep one foot in each world.
In high school, we studied the Crucible in junior year, and I already knew the entire thing by heart because we had performed it in 8th grade. I was a Judge Hawthorne. I was like a 50-year-old male judge as a 12-year-old girl. Whether or not I would, whether that's my core nature and I would have been that way, regardless of my education, I can't say for sure. But I know that all the skills that I learned being in this environment and in this frame of mind definitely developed that part of my work.
For me, the best part about Waldorf education was the depth that that the classes really went into in whatever subject.
There's such a wonderful sense of curiosity. How do things work, and how can I figure them out on the abstract and intellectual level, but also on a really tangible level. And I absolutely loved that.
A page of writing needs to have a border and a background, or it's not finished, So the way that everything that you make has to be considered, all of the elements. I loved that when I was a kid. I loved attending to all of the details and adding beauty everywhere.
3 things come to mind. One is the field trips. Everything from recreating a gold rush mine in 4th grade to camping trips and living on a farm and milking cows and collecting chicken eggs when you're just a kid. Those things have definitely stayed with me.
The best thing that Waldorf gave me was a feeling of knowing myself, who I am, and knowing how to connect with other people.
There's so much ritual in the Waldorf, or my memory of it, and that's what I think of as spirituality, is these rituals where people come together and feel that greatness that is all of us together and all of life together, and there was so much room for that in Waldorf.
Every material, whether it was wood or beeswax or a plant or an animal or another human relationship, there was respect for the essence of whatever it was that we were interacting with, and having that space around everything that was held by the teacher, it was held by the other members of the class. Nobody says, well, this is how you're supposed to do it. There was never any dogma around it. There was never any prescription, but there was space for reflection around all of the minutiae of every day. And to just have had somebody else, who was the grown-up, because, I was 4 when I started at Waldorf, to have somebody create that environment for me, to have the privilege of coming up in that, and then later coming to reflect. Now it's sort of up to me which choices I make or don't make, but to have had somebody sort of hold that space for me for years without my even knowing it, something that I'm so deeply grateful for, and I'd had space to grow into it if I wanted to.